If you're 30 years old, today we're going to go over the 7 financial moves that you need to make to ensure that you're on track for retirement. If you take a look at this graph from bipartisanpolicy.org, you will notice that 49% of people from ages 25 to 34 and 43% of people from ages 35 to 44 do not feel on track when it comes to retirement planning. But in today's video, I'm going to give you the roadmap on how to get there. Let's dive in. Step 1, you've got to analyze your current situation, which means I'm going to need you to create a budget. So you're going to have to sit down and list out all of your average monthly expenses, from your rent or your mortgage to your utilities, to your phone bill, to your car insurance, to your groceries, to your gas, to your shopping, everything that you typically spend money on a monthly basis. Add all that up and then subtract that from your average monthly income. That will give you what we call your discretionary income, which is essentially how much money you have left over after you've paid all of your bills. Then from there, we need to see where all of your assets are currently at. Do you have money at the bank, which would be checking, savings, CDs? Do you have investments, which would be stocks, bonds, mutual funds? Do you have retirement accounts like 401ks, 403bs, IRAs? And do you have cash value insurance? We want to list all of this out, as well as with the current balance for each type of account and how much you're contributing into each one per month or per year. Then, unfortunately, you also have to list out all of your debt, the different types of debt that you have, which could be mortgages, it could be student loans, it could be car payments, it could be credit cards. You just need to list it all, list the current balance, and list what your monthly payment is on it. Step 2 is a fun step. We actually get to list out all of your goals, but we want to break your goals down into 3 categories. We've got short-term, mid-term, and long-term. Short-term is any goals between now and 2 years away. Mid-term is any goals between 3 to 10 years away. And long-term goals really is anything 10 years plus. And the reason this matters is because how long until you plan to achieve that goal is going to ultimately determine what type of account you should be saving or investing your money in to reach that goal. There are some types of financial accounts that are better for more short-term goals, some that are better for more long-term goals. The mindset is usually the longer until you need access to your money, the more risk you can be taking on it. So this is very important. Make sure you take some time to actually figure out where your goals fall and list a timeline to it, and ultimately how much money you think it's going to take to achieve it. Step 3 is a big one. You got to get some protection in place. And there are 3 different types of protection that we're going to be talking about. First type of protection, and in my opinion, the most important from the very beginning, is an emergency fund. You've got to have access to some liquid cash in case a good thing or a bad thing might come up. And I always encourage my clients to have at least 6 months worth of their basic living expenses saved, but the emergency fund is supposed to be separate from your actual savings account at your bank. I usually encourage my clients to look at some high interest savings accounts. We call them high yield savings accounts, where your money can actually be parked there and earn a little bit more interest than what it's earning in your traditional bank account. Couple things this actually does. This removes the money from your basic bank so it's not easily accessible to you, and it's kind of out of sight, out of mind, so you don't look at it for an opportunity or for an impulse spend. And again, it also earns you some interest. If you just simply Google high interest savings accounts today, a bunch of options will pop up that are paying anywhere from 3.5% to 4% interest per year on your money. So why not earn some interest on the money that you have stashed away in case of an emergency? Then from there, the second type of protection you need to get in place is some life insurance. I know you're probably thinking, but I'm young. It's like forever until I'm gonna die. Well, yes, that's potentially and hopefully true, right? We don't know for sure. The reality is life insurance is never going to be cheaper than when it is for you today because you're young. The older you get, the more expensive this gets. Now, there are 2 different types of insurance you can be looking at. There's term insurance and there's permanent insurance. Term, simple, temporary. It's good for a certain amount of time. 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years. And it's really great while you're young and you have a lot of debt and some people that are dependent on your income because it gives you a lot of life insurance for a very small amount per month. And if you don't use it, essentially if you don't die in the amount of time you have it, it just disappears. So it's very affordable. Now, permanent life insurance is designed to last you forever, so it's going to be more expensive. You may not get as much life insurance in the permanent side, but it's good because 99% of the time, you're gonna still need life insurance even into retirement. So it's important to have a smaller amount on the permanent side and maybe a larger amount on the term side. Now, if you're left there wondering, well, how do I know how much life insurance I need and what kind of life insurance I need? We actually follow a formula called DIME. And DIME stands for debt, income times 10 years, mortgage, and education. So debt, remember how we ranked all of your debt in step number 1? You're gonna have to bring that back in here. And the total amount of debt that you owe, you wanna make sure that you get enough life insurance to cover that. And then for your income, we kind of figured that out in step 1 as well. You ideally want to make sure that you've got enough life insurance to cover your income, annual income, for at least 10 years if you're married or you have kids, because we want to make sure they can continue to live that same lifestyle. And then mortgage, obviously just enough coverage to cover the cost of your mortgage if you own a home or if you own multiple renter properties. And then the education is really just if you care about sending your kids off to college if you have children. So budget in a number for what you expect college to cost. Once you've figured out all the numbers in your dime model, we can go through here and figure out what type of coverage is needed on the permanent side versus the term side. Your debt, is that temporary or is that permanent? That's temporary, right? That shouldn't be there forever, so we can cover that with term insurance. Your income, is that temporary or permanent? Kind of permanent, right? You need income forever, so that should be covered with your permanent life insurance. Your mortgage, is that temporary or permanent? That should be temporary. You shouldn't have a mortgage forever. That can be covered with term insurance. And your kids' college education should also be temporary. That can also be covered with term insurance. So now you can go through and add up all the numbers that fall under the term insurance side, all the numbers that add under the permanent insurance side, and that will give you an overall idea on how much life insurance you need, what we call your insurable need is, based on this dime model. Then from there, the last type of protection you need to get in place is long-term care and living benefits. Now again, you might be thinking, but I'm young, I'm never gonna get sick or injured, I'm in perfect health. While yes, this may be true, one of the number one causes of bankruptcy in retirement is medical expenses, because people always underestimate this cost. So again, if you ask anybody in their 60s or older, I highly, highly believe they would most likely tell you to get these types of products in place while you're young and you're healthy enough to afford it, because long-term care and living benefits are things that pay you financially while you are sick or injured or in the product of getting back to health. And good news, the life insurance products that we talked about just a second ago, most of the time will include some form of long-term care or living benefits as a part of the death benefit. So you can really tackle 2 birds with 1 stone by just getting the right type of life insurance in place. Okay, now step 4 is we've got to get on top of tackling that high interest debt. Again, remember in step 1 how we listed all of your debt. We're going to bring that back here, and now we're going to divide it into 2 categories: your good debt versus your bad debt. Your good debt, that is debt that actually adds to your net worth. It's essentially you borrowing money at a nominal interest rate and then investing that and earning more interest, right? That's like a mortgage. That's a property, that's real estate. Most of the time falls under good debt. Your bad debt is going to be consumer debt. That's debt that takes away from your net worth. Your credit cards, your car payments, your personal loans, right? That's all under consumer debt. So we're going to focus on this one, not on the good debt. On the bad debt, I need you to rank out every individual credit card you have, personal loan, whatever it is, rank it and list the current balance and the monthly payment and the interest rate. And we're going to rank it from the highest interest rate to the lowest interest rate. And what we're going to do is we're going to tackle the debt that has the highest interest rate first, because you're paying the most to borrow that money. And there's very, very low chance that if you're paying somewhere between 25 to 30% interest to borrow the money on a credit card, that you're gonna have anywhere you can invest that to earn that type of return consistently on an annual basis. So please focus on tackling the highest interest rate debt first. Then from there, step 5 is we gotta start building some wealth. But first, we really need to talk about the cost of waiting. Can't tell you how many times I talk to people that are younger and they just have other priorities. Saving and building wealth isn't at the top of mind. They're more so looking to spend money on experiences, which is great, but the reality is the longer you wait to start saving, the more money you have to save per month or per year to reach the same goal. For example, if somebody that is 20 years old started saving just $300 a month every month for 40 years until they're 60, earning an average 8% rate of return, they would have approximately $1 million saved. But let's say they don't start saving till they are 30. Well, now they have to save $700 a month for the next 30 years, earning 8% interest to get to the same result. But let's say they don't start saving till age 40. Now they have to start saving $1,700 a month, earning that same 8% interest for now just 20 years to get to the same result by age 60, which is $1 million. The cost of waiting is a real thing. The earlier you can start saving, the better, because compound interest is on your side when you have more time for your money to grow. Then you also have to consider taxes. Do you think taxes are going to go up or down in the future? Well, with the country $36 trillion in debt and counting, and programs like Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid being underfunded, I highly doubt taxes have a chance of going down 20, 30 years from now when you are most likely going to be retiring. That being said, it might make sense to start to look at accounts that grow your money tax-free, which would be products like Roth 401ks, Roth IRAs, and cash value life insurance. More on this linked in the videos in the description of this video below. You also have to consider inflation. If you take a look at this graph from usinflationcalculator.com, it shows us the actual rate of inflation here in the United States over the last 10 years. And inflation is really just the devaluation of your dollar, right? Its prices essentially going up on us and us having a lower purchasing power than the years prior. Now, if you average all of this out, the average rate of inflation in the United States is just about 3% per year. So what that means is every single year, you're battling losing 3% value on your dollar, which means you have to save more money to get to the same result. Then from there, when it comes to ways to save for retirement, you've got the traditional way and the non-traditional way. The traditional way, that's going to be your 401ks, your IRAs, your 403bs, your Roth IRAs, all the traditional types of retirement accounts that you hear today. Your non-traditional ways are pretty much going to be things like cash value life insurance, maybe brokerage accounts, maybe real estate. So you got to take a look at these and see, out of these types of strategies, which ones make the most sense for you. I've got a video below that's going to talk a little bit more about this as well. And step 6, you've got to start saving for your kiddos. According to this article by CNBC, in 18 years, a college degree could cost over $500,000. Now, the reality is, less and less kids are also going away to college. If you take a look at this chart from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, over the years, you'll see that there has been a significant decrease in the number of high school graduates going off to college. So that information right there will kind of help you figure out what type of plan you want to start saving for your kids in. You've got your traditional type of college saving plans, which would be like your 529s, and then you've also got the alternative types of savings vehicles, which would be things like IULs, where really the money can be used for anything. 529s are great because they keep the money tax-free if the money is used for college, but they're going to tax a child if they use the money for anything else. Versus IULs, they're going to grow a cash value component inside the policy that really can be used for anything throughout the course of that child's entire future. More information on this in the video linked below. And step 7, you've got to set up an estate plan. You might be thinking again, I'm too young to be worried about estate planning. Well, yes, you might think that's true. The reality is an estate plan is the only type of legal document that is going to essentially let the courts know what you want to have happen to all of your stuff if you were unfortunately to pass away too soon or too early. So you need to be getting a will and a trust in place. I am not a licensed attorney. I just know how important these documents are because I have unfortunately seen too many friends and family members pass away without them. If you do not have a will and a trust in place, all of your assets when you die will go through a process called probate court. Well, depending on the state, this can take anywhere from 12 to 18 months, depending on the state, and it can be very expensive for your family to put all of your assets through this process. And if you have kids, unfortunately, sometimes they get stuck in foster care while the court is trying to figure out which family member makes the most sense to take your children into their household. So I want to highly encourage you, once you get into your 30s and you start to acquire some assets and have a family and own property, you really need to get with an estate planning attorney in your resident state to get this done. You can expect a typical estate plan to cost anywhere from maybe on the low end $1,000, on the high end of $5,000, maybe even $10,000 if your estate is a little bit more complex. I also currently right now work with an insurance company that actually puts the ability to have your own estate plan as part of the package for purchasing their life insurance for free. So if you would like a quote for that, you can click on the link below in the description of this video to get access to that calculator. There you go. If you're in your 30s, these are the 7 financial moves that you need to take to ensure that you're ready for retirement and you don't become another statistic of people that do not feel ready and, worst case scenario, transition into retirement not actually being ready. My goal is to set you guys up for success so that when your golden years come, you can actually enjoy your golden years with your friends, with your family, and live out all the goals that you ever imagined doing and accomplishing at that age. And if you found this video helpful, make sure to click that subscribe button, hit the bell to turn on notifications because I release a new video every single week. Wouldn't want you to miss it. Share this video with anyone you know that's in their 30s, and I'll see you back here next week on YouTube.